In this month's episode, we compare what we thought of Thank Goodness You're Here. I'll be reviewing Moss 2, 1,000 Times Resist, and Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
And I'll be talking about some awesome co-op games which we played over Christmas, which include Split Fiction and Lego Voyagers, which are both cracking games, which you'll learn lots more about if you listen.
All that and more on this month's Aches and Games. Hi folks, and welcome to January's Aches and Games, a relaxed check-in between two slightly older British friends talking life, gaming, and whatever else comes to mind. Don't forget there are timestamps in the description of this episode for anyone who wants to just jump to the games, or any section for that matter, and between episodes you'll find us on our socials or on our Facebook page by searching Aches and Games. I'm Giles Nicholson, at Giles Went West on various socials, Xbox and PlayStation 5, and joining me as always is my good friend James Hopes. James, Happy New Year!
Thank you, you too, Charles. I've got steps in my head now. Two for sorrow. But there we go. Happy New Year to you and all of our dedicated listeners who have followed us over the course of the last 3 years we've been doing this now.
Yeah.
Over 3 different, very exciting. I'm James Boy 1978 on PlayStation. Jamesy Boy 78. Am I? 9532 on Xbox. Let's go with that. Cool. And I'm here in real life as well. So that's how you can find me if you want to. And yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And whatever ceremony you celebrate over the festive period, congratulations for making it through unscathed in 2026. Let's go.
Yes. Well, before we get going properly, please make sure that you check out our special episode. I've done an acronym on my notes because I couldn't be bothered to write it down, and now I can't understand what I put. It's the 5 games we played this year awards, I believe.
Really top 5 games, I thought.
Yeah, top 5. So that's T5GWPTY, which is quite catchy.
Yeah,
okay.
So we played more than 5 games this year, so that would have been
We have, yeah, makes sense. Anyway, that drops over the Christmas period, so if you missed it, please do check it out. Also, a quick correction from last month's episode. I want to do a full-on newspaper-style update. I stand by quite liking Keeper, James. I know you weren't a fan.
No.
I gave it an 8, I think, and now we're doing halves. I think 7.5 would be accurate. But also, I said I wasn't a big fan of the camera, despite saying I quite like the camera. It got very confusing, and I'd just like to set the record straight. My issue with the camera was that you couldn't really see where you needed to go in some cases. I was quite happy with not being able to control it. I just wanted to see where I was going. So to the half a person who's vaguely interested in hearing me correct myself from last month, there you go. Right, James, what have you been up to this month?
I'm glad we got that settled, Giles, because it's been bothering me all months now. So.
It's been bothering me.
Giles' New Year's resolution is to do more accurate reviews this month and to nitpick over half points more accurately. Good. Well, it was December, wasn't it? At the end of last year. That was just traditionally the case at that time of year. And Christmas obviously dominates it, or the Saturnalia or whatever. Like I said, winter solstice, or all the other celebration around that kind of period. But Christmas was good still, but quite low-key. And I think I might have mentioned last month that my mum was due to go in for a knee op in December, early on, because she's got a knackered knee. But she went in and they found her heart was a bit knackered too, unfortunately. So she was in intensive care for a week and on a ventilator and all sorts of bad stuff. So she made it through, which is good. So she's back in time for Christmas. But it meant we had a bit of a low-key one compared to the expectations and had to rearrange a few parties and events and stuff. So my December was largely, well not largely, but 10 days of it was spent at the Royal Berkshire Hospital up in intensive care. So that was a bit naff. But not wishing to put a dampener on it. My mum is fine now, apart from she's still got knackered knees and still got knackered back because they didn't do the ops. So she's still as she was this time at the end of November. But yeah, all good. So that's that one. But we did still manage to do some festive things. Did still manage to go to 2, count them, work parties instead of the 4 I was meant to be going to. So one was karaoke, which I think I might have mentioned last month. And I'm probably in the top 2 people that hate karaoke in the world, with my wife Sarah being the number 1 hater of karaoke in the world. So we're very well matched. But this was a winter wonderland up in Hyde Park first, followed by a karaoke bar. Like a Japanese karaoke bar type place.
Oh yeah, proper.
Oh yeah, it's full on. Proper prices as well. It's £14.50 for a JD and Coke. Ludicrous. So you sort of start upstairs. Everyone was in like black tie, weirdly, from other companies, and we were just there in our normal festive clothes. I was in a Christmas shirt, obviously, a nice green one with reindeers on it. Very fetching. And then we got taken downstairs into a room, probably the size of a downstairs toilet for the 12 of us to ram into. It's like a padded cell with a little drinks ordering booth in there. Weirdly, the drinks in the booth were cheaper than the drinks at the bar. It's only $12.50 for a JD and Coke downstairs, which requires some waiter service to bring it down the flights of stairs and listen to our horrific karaoke, but $14.50 upstairs, so every cloud. And we were rammed into this room forcibly, and then a couple of people in the group I was with thought they were exceptionally good at karaoke, and they weren't as good as some other people might be at karaoke. But they were very loud and very enthusiastic, which at Christmas is all you really want, so they're bouncing around and singing songs at the top of their lungs. I did some Wonderwall and a few other interesting lower technique songs and some Christmas classics, and it all went perfectly well. The other one was my do in a place called Albert Slosh, I think it's called. It's a German bar up in London, and they have live music, and they had a cool band that was doing covers, and the covers band were mixing songs together from different genres.
That's nice.
Meshing them together. There's meshing lots of classics together. There's lots of Christmas classics, but also some like songs from the 70s and 80s that are just churning together. It's magical. So yeah, it was really good. Had a good night there. Both parties finished about half midnight, so they weren't late ones compared to the olden days. Got home sensibly, wasn't drunk on any of them. All very sensible. So that's my 2 work parties. You surely did some work parties for your numerous jobs, Charles?
No, I didn't. But before that, obviously very glad that your mum's on the mend in most ways. And really pleased that you managed to get a couple of nights out as well, because it must have been a stressful month. No work parties. I work from home. Partner Hannah works from home as well. So our work party was going to be us just going out for the night, which could have been fun. You know, you always get... or some work parties have a bit of kind of unplanned interaction between staff members that could have happened and maybe not been quite as controversial as in some other cases. That would have been good. And also, we obviously could then choose a venue that could accommodate our large group of 2. We also work for different companies, so technically, I suppose it doesn't count. But you know, who's counting?
Networking.
Exactly, yeah. We didn't go anyway because we were ridiculously busy in December, and so we're going to have our Christmas work party between the 2 of us at some point in January. But no doubt we'll get around to it. We did a few fun things though. So just to highlight, we also had a trip up to London. We went to see Mumford & Sons early in December, who were really good. I know they have their haters, just like anyone. Too much banjo for some, but actually they were really I was really impressed by how much of a sound they were managing to like fill the O2. It kind of, when we booked it, we were like, maybe it would be better to see them somewhere smaller, but actually they were really, really good. Loads of energy, loads of upbeat songs. They've got a big catalogue now, and so they could play a couple of quiet ones, but also loads of more sort of rabble-rousing type. Marcus Mumford is a nutcase. He sprinted around the O2 whilst being chased by his security guard, who was trying to protect him, but about 15 yards behind, because Marcus Mumford, I'm not going to suggest he's on something, but he has a lot of energy. And he sprinted up the stairs next to me because I was at the end of a row. So that was quite fun. I, being the observant person that I am, kind of heard a bit of a kerfuffle, and Hannah was trying to point out someone was coming up the stairs very quickly, and I looked across, and then there was a blur that went past me, so that was fun. We also went to Frameless, which is one of those seemingly everywhere immersive experiences now, but it was like an immersive art gallery by Hyde Park, which was really good, and did some Christmassy stuff, so that was a nice trip. We also went to Cardiff to catch a rather last minute decision to catch AEW Collision coming from Cardiff. It's a bit more wrestling, so bless Hannah for keeping me company on that one. It's a lot of fun. It's not even their A show, that's Dynamite, so it's their B show, recorded on a Saturday night in Wales.
Wow.
But it was pretty good, and the crowd it was a much smaller venue. You and I, obviously, we went to Wembley, didn't we, James, to see
massive.
All In. This was a much more compact venue of about 4,000 as opposed to 80, 90,000. And that meant that you could see what's going on, which was nice. You're also much closer to sort of see how the sausage is made, so to speak. So it was quite interesting to kind of see some of the moves connect, some of them a little bit of air, and hear absolutely everything that was going on, including some rather drunk Geordies behind us who were funny for about a minute and then not funny, then annoying, then just super inappropriate, and then hopefully got kicked out because didn't hear about them towards the end.
Wow.
So 2 good trips, and also a nice trip down to Winchester Market with my sister and family. So that was pre-Christmas. Did you have anything else you got up to between Christmas and New Year, James? Or...
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, that is true love. If your partner comes along to watch a wrestling B event in Cardiff, fair play. All of those things are a great combination. Fair play to her.
She's a keeper.
But not a 7.5 keeper.
Not a 7.5,
no.
Moving on.
Good. I was going to say there's 2 other festive things I did. Every year we do the thingy with the what's-its in the place down the road.
Oh, yeah.
Basildon Park, National Trust site, has they decorate with Christmas trees. If you can see the video, that's me showing what a Christmas tree looks like in hand form. Yeah,
don't quite get it, but I mean, it's a good attempt.
And every year they have a different theme. So this year, weirdly, it was a ballet theme.
Huh.
So every room was themed, the decorations around a particular ballet. And obviously, been a massive ballet fuff.
I wouldn't have said a massive ballet fuff. I thought you were going to say massive something else, beginning with B, and I was like, James, this is a bit of self-reflection, but also a family podcast. So, anyway, let's try that again.
Being a major ballet buff,
yes.
Obviously, when we went into each room, I very quickly identified all the ballets, especially the one with the Swan Lake and the one that was a Nutcracker, because that's the only 2 I've ever heard of. So spotted those 2, the rest, no clue. But it's good fun. They always have big trees and big rooms, and it was always nice to photograph. So we went there on 23rd, I think. And then finally, also this year, which I wanted to do for the last 15 years that I've known Sarah, we finally went to a carol concert in our village triangle. So it was on 4 o'clock one afternoon, just it was getting dark, and we sung about 20 different Christmas carols, surrounded by lots of other villagers and a band playing the songs along. It was quite fun. So I've always wanted to do it. I enjoyed it when I was a child, weirdly. I think I was in a choir as a child, so we did a carol concert somewhere. And finally I got to do it again. So Joshua enjoyed it. Sarah enjoyed it until she got a bad back and had to hobble off, as she does for large standing events. But it's good. So glad I finally got to do it. And that was some of our festive highlights, of which there weren't that many, but those are fine. So all good. No complaints.
That sounds a lot of fun. I love a carol concert as well, and went to see Maddie in a carol concert in Reading Minster. I'm trying to remember now if that was just in last episode's timescale or if that was in this one. But anyway, that was great fun. And yeah, love a carol. It's nice, just everyone singing together. It's a very happy time for most people, isn't it? Appreciate it's a tough time for others around Christmas, and I think Christmas carols is a chance to just kind of feel part of something, which is always nice. So enjoy that. We did some festive stuff as well. We had a neighbours Christmas drinks. So our road, part of our road anyway, had a really nice drinks the day after the wrestling, and I tried my best not to say what we were doing the day before, but I did actually let slip, and that created some interesting conversation. Otherwise, it was very pleasant, and just reminded me that we're very fortunate to live in a nice, friendly road, so that was good. We also had Madeline and Scotty come around for games night, more of which later, just before Christmas. And we spent Christmas with Hannah's family, which was also really good. We got everyone together, everyone got on, which is not always the case with small brother and sister who can sort of press each other's buttons, lots of generations, the usual Christmas stuff. But it was a very pleasant couple of days. And then lastly, we were supposed to go to Amsterdam for New Year. That was the plan, that was the trip. But unfortunately, problems with Eurostar meant that we couldn't. So we made the best of it. We had a really nice dinner in Wokingham, and then we went to stay in Malmaison for a night and had a really nice overnight there. And again, just made the best of what could have been a slightly frustrating few days. So yeah, it's been a good one.
Yeah. Amusingly, I thought when he said you had a Neighbours Christmas party, I thought it was going to be like Neighbours, the Australian soap opera themed Christmas party, which would have been fun with,
Good question. Who would you go as in a neighbour's Christmas party?
Probably Bounce the dog.
Nice. I was going to opt for Harold myself because I'd like to do the jowl wobble where it's like, oh. But maybe Marge or someone just for a laugh, always.
Harold was probably younger than us now when he was in the Neighbours, but we'll see.
That's
also, I had a birthday as well. I got older on Christmas Eve, as I do every year, traditionally. So I'm now 47, so we're not even slightly older British friends anymore. We're significantly older British friends.
How does it feel?
Yeah, I'm still in my mid-40s, so that's fine. I didn't feel a lot different, to be honest. It's always tricky having a birthday on Christmas Eve. You probably never experienced it, not being born on Christmas Eve. But you kind of wake up as a birthday, you get some chocolates in bed and some alcohol and a Reading football shirt, and then it goes back to Christmas again shortly afterwards. So you get a lay and there's some chocolates and some booze, and then that's it for another year. So it's not that thrilling anymore. But we had a nice carry-in evening. We had a collective carry-in in the house with my mum, and that was very pleasant. Oh. I was going to say also, I was going to say two things actually, but I probably think of a third thing because that's how my brain works these days. Christmas Day was easy because normally we cook for 8 of us because Sarah's family normally come, but there was a bit of a calendar clash this year, so they went in different directions on Christmas Day. So we only cooked for the 4 of us, and it's miraculous how much easier it is to cook for 4 people than it is to cook for 8 people.
Yes, I would.
Everything fits in a pan. Yeah, you can do it all on the hob. It's ridiculously easy. I still did my ridiculously complicated timing list, which included reminding Joshua to get dressed at 1:47 and to drink alcohol at 1:55. So that worked nicely.
Nice.
But it was almost superfluous because it really was very straightforward. And the final thing I was going to say is, in keeping with previous themes, if you didn't listen to our podcast before, look back at previous episodes. Really interesting. Giles used to do a clothing review for the gigs he went to, so he needs to do one for Mumford & Sons. And he's probably going to say he can't remember because Giles never remembers what male performers were wearing. Giles, what are they wearing?
That's a scandalous thing to say. I'm going to say a shirt and trousers, which I think is a safe bet. I think it was a kind of loose white shirt with a vest underneath it, which he might have taken the shirt off at some point. Just to go into. It was. I mean, you might be expecting a more sort of skimpy vest than I think I'm thinking of, more of a tank top type of situation. And to our American listeners, vest is not a waistcoat. That's a whole different thing. It's a different language. But yeah,
and pants and not trousers.
He was wearing. That's a good point. He was wearing a fairly regular sort of pop indie-ish style, slightly country outfit. I'll consult my camera, consult my pictures while you're saying something, and then get back to you on that one. Good, awesome. I need to correct myself. I said Marge from Neighbours. I'm doing another correction, live correction, fact check as we speak. It was Madge, wasn't it? It's not Marge. Marge is The Simpsons. That's That was a terrible mistake.
Both got big hair, but different colour.
True. And sort of husky voices, both growlers in their own sense, I think.
Wow, that's taken a turn, thank you.
Madge played for a volleyball team called the Grey Growlers. Do you not remember?
You did.
It was so funny. Anyway, we're digressing. Anything you watched this month which you wanted to highlight or not?
Loads. Can we just say rest in peace, Neighbours, which has finally finished for the second time now, and Sarah is distraught.
Oh, yeah.
It's been gone for 2 weeks now, so she's not left the bed since, unfortunately, in sympathy. And Home and Away has moved on to 5-star instead of normal 5 now, so even that's less popular than it was. Anyway, there's been some new stuff on that's a repeat of old stuff, but in a newer format. So obviously the new Celebrity SAS is on this week, so we've watched the first one of that one, and it's Australia versus England this time, or Australia versus Britain, kind of, but they're all English and they keep talking about poms and stuff, which is English, of course. So they're meant to be competing against each other, and it's a lot of reality TV stars and influencers and TikTokers, many of which I've never heard, but also Graham Swan, the cricketer, and while we're on the subject, Toadie from Neighbours, Ryan Mahoney is one of the big names on it, on the Australian side, obviously. So yeah, so that's interesting. We've started getting back into that one. Obviously the new Traitors is on. That started on New Year's Day, didn't it, I think? We've missed all 3 episodes so far, but they're on record, so at some stage after we finish recording this podcast, we will watch them and catch up a little bit. And also, I think The Masked Singer's back on there as well as of last night, so we always enjoyed The Masked Singer. Always good crack. So yeah, that's our TV. Plus, most importantly, I don't think I mentioned it last month, he says, Wicked for Good. I think I said I was going to watch Wicked for Good. We'd watch the original Wicked to catch up on it because I'd never seen it. And then we watched the new Wicked, Wicked for Good, which is really, really wicked and good. in equal measures. So if you haven't seen it yet, wicked for good. Very much recommended.
Oh,
Lovely.
okay. Yeah, I heard it was a bit darker than the first one, and we haven't got around to it yet. So I will take that recommendation and go and have a watch.
Yeah, still very catchy. Still great characters.
Nice.
Similar to the first one, involving witches and wizards and elves.
I have. Have you seen the? I can't remember if you'd been to the musical.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen the musical, but a long time ago. So I should remember how it goes, but obviously, long time ago. I don't remember anything. So
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the attempt at a segue, though, from Oz to Neighbours.
I didn't even notice. Sorry.
And from Neighbours to Celebrity SAS.
Yeah, that I got. But coming to us, that's quite impressive. I'm sure the listeners will be looking, because it does sometimes feel like you just rock up to these recordings. I mean, looking through the notes, they're just thrown together. But actually, there's a lot of work goes into it, as we can see.
A lot of work.
Too
much work sometimes.
I sit corrected. In terms of watching, we watched lots of terrible Christmas stuff, including Stuffed, which was genuinely awful. Did you watch Stuffed? It was a Christmas special, which got highlighted in the Radio Times as I thought one to watch. But what I didn't read was by the end of the kind of highlight description, it said, "No, this one's a real turkey." And lo and behold, it was Gus Kahn and Morwenna. Damn it, can't remember her name. But people I recognised. Heartwarming, Christmassy thing, hour long, could be fun. It wasn't that fun, but we watched the whole thing because we're gluttons for punishment. Saw a couple of classic Christmas films and some really terrible ones too. James.
Interestingly, my friend Fran, who you've met, slightly worse for wear when you met her, probably.
I wasn't there. We were sick.
Yeah. She decided in December to watch a Christmas film every day and review it on the internet because she does things on the internet for money. Not bad things, just social media stuff. And yeah, she watched a Christmas film every day, and I think she was getting quite sick of them by the end because there's similar plots in some of the Christmas films. Similar venues, similar actors, and very similar storylines. There's generally people who live in people who have been successful and moved out of a small town, moving back to a small town temporarily to fix a problem, meeting someone from a small town that they used to love when they were younger, getting together with that person and having a big dilemma as to whether to go back to their big city life or stay in a small town. Fascinating. Nice. Great programs.
Those, or I think there's a whole group of meeting a prince and being a commoner, that sort of Christmas thing on Netflix, the sort of thing that would have been on the Hallmark Channel back in the day, but now is pumped out as Netflix slop. Well, it was good to go back to normal stuff. We're also watching the traitors. We have seen the first few episodes. I will not spoil. We're also watching The Night Managers season 2. So I mentioned we watched the first series as a season series. I'm mixing the two. Watched the first season pre-Christmas as a catch-up, which was well worth it because it was very good, but not well worth it because there was like a 5-minute recap of the whole series at the start of season 2. So it was 10 years ago or so. I think 13 actually, now I think of it. So they had a lot to they had to assume, I think, that people hadn't watched it recently. Night Manager's very good. I recommend that. Down Cemetery Road on Apple, using another free trial, finishing off our latest Sleigh Horses season free trial, by the same author, so Mick Herron. Really excited about that. Had Emma Thompson as a private investigator. Looked really good. It was fine. It was like a 7. It was good. It was perfectly decent use of 10 hours of your life. Equally, I'm sure there's better ways to spend 10 hours of your life. So a bit disappointed with that, as well as this season of Sleigh Horses. So hopefully it will have a renaissance next time. But also we did watch F1 on Apple TV with Brad Pitt. That was really good. Enjoyed that a lot. It's basically Top Gun Maverick, but with racing cars. And I watched Avatar: The Way of Water on Disney Plus as a way to get rid Freudian slip, as a way to get prepared for Fire and Ash, or whatever the new one is, because I thought I'd go and see that over Christmas. And again, it was fine. I really liked the first one. Quite enjoyed The Way of Water, but after I think it was like 3.5 hours or something, just decided I wasn't quite ready to watch another one. So it sort of backfired. It was supposed to be prepping me for the new film and going to the cinema, and so I didn't do that. So that was
you're right off.
Yeah. Not well. No,
Yeah.
I'll watch it, but it feels like the sort of film that really would benefit from the cinema. It's done massive numbers again. It's still raking in the money, but yeah, probably not a wise thing to watch. What's probably quite a similar film and last for 3 hours, like in the week building up to going and seeing at the cinema. Because the answer was, I just won't go.
Lovely. Should we talk about games?
We should talk about games. We need to go places, don't we? At some point. Should we start? Should we start with the game of the month, or the Sub Club game, or Love It and Leave It, Love It or Leave It, or whatever
Love It or Leave It
these days?
Yeah.
That's what we decided, wasn't it?
Love
So
It or
each
Leave
month we pick a game off the subscription services that we both play. If we manage to finish it, we'll review it. If not, we'll just give our thoughts. This month's game was very finishable because it was, is that a word? It was Thank Goodness You're Here, a very short comedy platformer, according to the makers. Not sure that's an official genre, but I suppose that kind of describes it in a way. It's a 2D explore 'em up kind of world. Gameplay as you move around this 2D visual place in a fictional town of Barnesworth in the north of England. It's very odd. It's very short. It's very unique. What did you think, James?
Yeah, you pretty much covered it there, haven't you? Yeah. So you're like a salesman, aren't you? A very small salesman.
You are indeed. Yellow as well, I believe.
Yeah, quite a big nose. You start in an office and then you get sent to Barnesworth to try and sell some things, I guess. And you arrive, and the theme of the game is you bump into lots of people and they say, "Thank goodness you're here," and give you a little task to do. That's the game, really, isn't it? In a nutshell.
That is it.
And one task tends to lead into another task. So you, there's a geezer fixing a chip fryer, isn't there, in the chippy, and he's lost some of his equipment, and that spawns 4 different quests, I think, to find his hammer and his screwdriver in various locations. And yeah, I mean, graphically, it's not the best, is it? It's not really technologically advanced in any way.
I would say, in its own way.
Yeah, it starts weirdly. It's got like a Coronation Street type backdrop of northern house tops. You imagine people mining at the end of the road.
Yep.
Sort of a 1970s, like the start of Thingy with the naked men people.
Full Monty.
Yes, you'd imagine it sort of fitting in that kind of era. It's like 1970s houses, smoke, and it's all really weird, as my description of it so far probably explains. You're kind of on the streets and you go into buildings. There's lots of shops to go into in people's houses, and like I said, you just sort of stumble from one quest to another. You talk to different people, so you can sort of prod them, and then they talk to you, or they say nothing, or they give you a little quest to do, and you go off and do it. And it's all a very sort of cyclical type location. So you go down a hole, for example, and you end up somewhere else, or you can jump down someone's chimney and end up in a different place there, or go for a fence. So it all goes sort of round in a big circle. So all the places in this fictional town all link up together, and a lot of it is finding or achieving something in one place and then trying to remember how you get back to the other place to go back to the person who asked you to do the task in the first place, so they can give you another task. Yeah, humorous in a way. We said last month we weren't sure if the northern humour would translate well to us middle-class southerners, and it kind of did. I got what it was trying to do. It wasn't always massively funny. There was some highlights and some lowlights and some sort of in-the-middle lights. And it was fine. It was fun. It wasn't long, easily finishable, no massive challenge to it. There's no complex puzzles or anything. It was just going to one place and doing a thing, going back to another place. And there's just some really weird bits in it, wasn't there? There's one bit where there's a big hand. So you go to a geezer's house and he wants you to get some soup for him from the shop, but he wants to do it himself, so his hand massively extends out like a gadget hand and sort of wraps around the whole town, and you go through different buildings and his hand sort of follows you around, and then eventually you go to the supermarket and get his soup off the top shelf, his breakfast soup, and then you go back to his house and make it and then pour it on his face. So that's the game in a nutshell. It's a perfect example of the game. It's just really weird. You're not really sure what you're doing or why sometimes, but yeah. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, It's a game that's quite hard to describe, as I think we're probably proving rather well right now. I did, as you probably saw, James, when you went into the notes, I kind of wrote loads of examples of things that I kind of came across, and then I was just reading them back thinking, this sounds absolutely mental. But yeah, the hand was fun. The woman who turns you into a sausage at one point. You turn into a sausage and land on an old lady's lap, and then she draws a face on you and decides to keep you as a pet. I mean, that was a sentence I wrote in my notes. That did happen in the game. Was it funny? I was sort of laughing most of the time, some of the time. Like you said, sometimes it was funny, sometimes it was weird and funny, and sometimes it was just weird and not funny at all. Do you remember the bit with the cow? Not to spoil everything for people. There's a milk shy cow, isn't there?
Yeah,
that was strange.
Yeah, it's quite erotic in some ways, isn't it?
It's quite graphic. Yeah, we won't go into detail perhaps for this one, but yeah, lots of milk. As our English teacher would not like us saying, there was milk everywhere. It was everywhere. Quite suggestive indeed. Yeah, so it was kind of, I thought, sort of humour-wise, kind of a bit League of Gentlemen, a bit South Park, a bit sort of music hall from the olden days, especially with the sort of northern songs. Not mature, sometimes very funny for not being mature, sometimes just puerile and stupid. Either funny or irritating or a bit of both is kind of what I wrote down. And yeah, not much game was the other thing I put, because I think you did just wander around. I mean, they called it a slap former. You had one button, you move around and you could slap things to interact with them, and that was either slapping people and they go, "Oh," or that was slapping an object of some description, which would maybe do something, like the cow, for example.
Yeah. It was kind of like a story that you sort of play. It's more playing for a story, wasn't it, rather than taking part. Again, there was no peril or death or chance of failure. You just did it and enjoyed the mystical ride. At the end was interesting, wasn't it?
That was a highlight for me. Should we do our highlights and worst things and then give it a score? Yeah, best things for me, unique, I put. I don't remember playing another game like it. Inventive. No. And then I put funny ? As my next best thing. How about you, James? Best things of the game?
Yeah, very similar, really. It was amusing. I think a lot of the point of the game is to be amusing and to make you sort of chuckle a little bit. Very creative. Some of the things you did were very odd and unusual. Nothing wrong with that one. And it was short, so it's the kind of game you can do in like an evening or 2 evenings at most and sort of get it done. And at the end of it, you don't feel like you've invested too much time compared to the level of enjoyment you got. So it was about the right level of enjoyment and fun for the time commitment invested, I thought.
Yeah, and with a pretty good payoff. I mean, that last sort of sequence, there's a bit of a song and a big sort of end sequence. I thought that was genuinely quite funny and quite good. Worst things for me, the gameplay was quite repetitive, just go and slap something. And I had an issue with it because I tended to go back to it after a bit of a break because I sort of enjoyed it in short bursts, but didn't really want to invest too much time, although it wasn't a long game. But if you did go back to it, having forgotten what your current objective was, there was nothing to point you towards it. You just had to wander around the town and slap things and hope that something would happen. So that seemed like a quite an easy win for the developers to just add maybe a little like tick list of what were you up to last time you left, or maybe even a previously on. Thank goodness you're here when you load it up. What do you think, James? Any of the worst things, and then your score?
Yeah, just my normal. Really, it wasn't challenging. There was no peril in it. I always like peril in games and the chance of darkness. Obviously, graphically and soundly, it wasn't groundbreaking at all. It's very much kind of retro and generally awful in terms of graphics, but fitting for the scenario. And yeah, a lot of the time the humour felt a bit forced or odd. So yeah.
What would you give it out of 10 if you were obliged to do so for the podcast?
Yeah, I can't remember if I wrote it down on the notes I did,
You
but if
did
not,
not.
it wouldn't have been as high as an 8. It wouldn't have been as low as a 6. 6.5 or 7.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
exactly.
6.75.
I've just about come around to half points, but I would draw the line at quarters. Yeah, 7 for me. I had it as a 6.5 right up to today. Probably, in fact, last time you saw the notes. And I put a bit of a chore as a game. So really, how's it scoring so highly? I think it was amusing in places. It was very creative, and it was short, which sounds like an insult, but I like to think,
Yeah.
they knew what they were doing. They wanted to just entertain you. It's a 2-person development team. It wasn't expensive, even if you bought it. It's about 15 quid, I think, if you get it on PlayStation Plus, which we did. It was essentially free. And it went up from 6.5 for me because of that song at the end. I really enjoyed the song. And I always love, and I'm very careful about how I say this because you'll take it sweatily. I do enjoy a game that ends well, whether that be happy or otherwise, as long as it comes to a suitable finale, avoiding the word climax, then it is good for me. And it's very disappointing when a game is really good but kind of ends on a bit of a sort of damp squib. So I thought it ended as at its best point, which is quite a feat.
Yeah, I think like League of Gentlemen and the Merry Wives Experience and other comedy programs of our younger years, it's the kind of thing you felt if you understood it and laughed at some of the jokes, you felt quite good about yourself because
Yeah.
your parents or your less intelligent friends probably wouldn't get the jokes, so you felt good about yourself. And this is this kind of game, I think. If you got the jokes and laughed, it's like quite cool because a lot of people would watch the game and think, "What on earth we just played? What was the point in that?" Whereas I got some enjoyment out of it, so I felt good about myself for enjoying it. And other games like the Stanley Parable, yeah,
Aha.
better than
Well, in which case you're not going to like one of mine for this month. But anyway, let's start with what else you've been playing, James.
Yeah, what did I put first on my notes, I wonder? So it was a festive period, so me and Joshua played some co-op games together, of which there were two. I'll start with one of them, which is an awesome game, so start off the new year brightly, Split Fiction. I think I mentioned in the last episode that I'd been looking forward to playing it, and that Joshua got it for his birthday a good few months ago, back in May, but it had been misplaced for a while, and it re-emerged over the festive period, so me and Joshua cracked on after Christmas Day and gave it a good poke, and it was awesome. Such a good game. It's made by the same developers that made It Takes Two, which is also an excellent co-op game that we played a few years ago, and Giles and Hannah did really well on. So, same developer, but very different. So, It Takes Two was very much a small story, which is about a husband and wife who were sort of getting divorced, and there's a talking book that tried to help them save their relationship in some way for the kids. This one is like that quality, but like tenfold. So on this one, the premise is that there's two wannabe authors who want to get a book published. They go to this company who is putting on a publishing day with some other people, and they think they're just going to go get a book signed, get some money, and be published. And one of them is doing it to pay off some medical bills for her father. The other one's doing it because she's a passionate author and she wants to be discovered. So they're both very different characters. But in the end, they get put inside a machine. And this machine is designed to insert you into your story. So you have your story in your head, and the machine you go into puts you into that story so you can live through the book that you've written to help improve it as a theme. But in reality, this company is just trying to steal everyone's ideas. So they're getting lots of wannabe authors in, putting them all in these machines, stealing all their ideas from their entire life and then turning them into other things. Very bad. So, very early premise, not a spoiler, is that these two ladies, wannabe authors, one's well up for it. She gets into the machine and floats into her magical world. The other one has a change of heart at the last minute because she's a bit scared of the whole medical process of being put inside a machine and having stuff put into her memory. So she panics a bit and sort of tries to run away, falls into the machine that the other woman's already in. So these two characters go into the same machine, which is forbidden. And one of them is a sci-fi writer and the other one is a fantasy writer. So a bit different. So they both land up in this machine together and they get inserted into each other's worlds in sort of chronological order. So you do one event in a sci-fi fantasy world, one event in a fantasy world, based on the stories that they've both written, and then it expands out to stories that they'd thought about when they were younger and ideas from the past. It's an awesome game. So the premise is cool. Never heard anything like that before. The characters are really good. One of them's very introverted and shy and just wants to be there for the money. So she takes a long time to come out of her shell, which is always nice. There's some good plot and character development as it goes through. Graphically amazing, very realistic. Sounds awesome. It's the kind of sound that Sarah complained about because it was too noisy and too boomy from the other room, so we had to turn it down. So it's that kind of epic cinema type quality sound. Dialogue's great, voice acting's superb. Whole thing's just brilliant. It's constant adventure, constant action, constantly changing storyline and plot. You get cool little side quests as well. So you find a little bubble, you both go into this side quest, which is like a memory from someone's childhood that you sort of play through to get back out of it. And one of them, without spoiling too much, involves you turning into 2 pigs in a farmyard. So you go around this farmyard. One of you has the power to fart magically, which speeds you up, and the other one has an extendable neck. So both are really useful talents for a pig. At the end of it, you collect apples, you put them in a different place. And bizarrely, that section ends with you going into a sausage making machine. So you get splushed to pieces and come out as sausages. And then you have to bounce your sausage up to the sort of a grill to get cooked. Then you bounce over to the ketchup squirting machine. And then you bounce into a little hot dog sausage roll thingy. So yeah, just completely out there, some of it. But action-packed, great adventure. Just a superb game. It's definitely one of the best games I've played. Definitely the best co-op game I've played by miles. And me and Joshua are loving it. So we're probably about halfway through, really enjoying it. Couldn't recommend it anymore. It would have been one of my games of the year if I'd have played it before our last show, which I hadn't, but definitely on the course for next year because it's superb. Pros, amazing graphics and sound, very immersive world and constant action. Cons, that aren't really any. It's a family game. There's occasional low-budget swear word in there, which Josh was like, oh, they said the S word. Yes, they did. Cool. So that's the only negative. Everything else is superb with it. And score-wise, probably about 9 out of 10 so far, but it could be even higher when I finish it because it really is that good.
Yeah, I've got my eye on it. I think we might give it a go. It may have some camera control issues, but we'll give it a try. It's nearly, I think it won some people's Game of the Year, whenever that was. It certainly was up there, and it was very well thought of, and sounds like a ringing endorsement, James.
The only other negative is Joshua's much better at it than me, which is quite distressing.
Yeah, I think it might be
when
time.
I was 46, I was much better at gaming. Now I'm 47, it's gone rapidly downhill. So
I think it might be time to you're gonna find yourself overtaken in lots of things. I used to race my dad when I was a kid, and we got to a point where I was clearly about to start beating him in a birthday race. We did it every year on my birthday, and he suspiciously pulled a hamstring, and we never raced again. So I never got to win the birthday race, which says a lot. So moving on, sounds like a great game. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. We will inevitably not finish it, but we can do our best. Maybe there's some good accessibility features in there.
Loads.
It will help us.
Game. You'll love it.
Good. I'm up for a proper game as well, because the other thing I've played a lot this month is a game called 1000 Times Resist, which was on Game Pass. I thought it was intriguing. It was kind of an anime type visual novel thing, and it looked quite short, and I thought, I'm up for that. I'd just finished Alan Wake 2 at the time, and I kind of thought, had a bombastic, actiony, gamey sort of game. Really enjoyed it. I was ready for a more sort of sedate version. Also thought it would be a good thing to take on the ROG Ally if I was going away for both Christmas and potentially New Year. So it's an adventure game, visual novel type thing. You play it as a clone called Watcher in a post-apocalyptic future where aliens have eradicated most of humanity through a global pandemic. It was made during the pandemic, so I think there was very much on the makers' minds. They leave a small society behind. Critics have lauded it. It's 86 on PC, on Metacritic, a bit lower on the other platforms, and it's available on Windows, Switch, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. It's also weird, a bit like Thank Goodness You're Here, but also nothing like Thank Goodness You're Here. So that was quite interesting. It was super serious and very arty. It's all got a slightly sterile atmosphere. You're most of the game you're living in a sort of self-contained massive spaceship thing. So it's got this kind of emptiness to it. It's quite a sad kind of feeling, very cold. Lots of blue words, not much warmth, not much fun, not much energy, but strangely compelling. So when it starts, the first area is a sort of abandoned school, and the children there are quite ghostly. You play it as almost a third-person action adventure from the 360 PS3 sort of era. It's that look. So it's not just clicking through dialogue, but there's a lot of clicking through dialogue. Game-wise, you're really mostly just exploring and talking to people, but then you have these, they're called communions, where you engage with one of the other characters and kind of go and see what's either in their thoughts or in their memory, and then it's a bit more interactive, and you kind of make your way around, and it's a bit more it demands a little bit more of your sort of skills, but not a great deal, if I'm honest. Everyone's named after their function. So Watcher is someone who observes. There's a healer, is the doctor character. And at some point, not immediately, but as the society progresses, it becomes a sort of all-female society where you're called sisters, although as the description mentions, cloning may be involved, so there's a bit of a mystery of what's gone on. Gameplay is largely exploring and dialogue with these communions, but it's not quite as boring as it sounds. It's really hard to get across. There's something about it that was really compelling. I did think it was going to take about 12 to 13 hours, which was how long to beat. How naive was I? I always seem to take about double what they say, so it took me 24 hours, which Xbox's little tracker rudely called a day, which made it feel even longer. It took a day for me to complete this game, and it certainly did overstay its welcome for me. It was kind of intriguing and thoughtful and deep in a way that did get me interested, but also you can kind of think that after a lot of time spent, did I really learn very much or get very much out of that experience? Lots of questions, not many answers. It does reinvent itself a number of times throughout the game, which was quite interesting. But I've put down here, there was an area where it was really good, really interesting kind of setting, but I couldn't run. They disabled the run button. I had no idea where to go. And so it was just incredibly frustrating because I was just wandering very slowly around this futuristic city outside of the spaceship. So that kind of sums up the game, really. Somehow interesting, despite being a really terrible drag of a game over 24 hours. But the sort of concept and the world and the mysteries around it kind of kept me going. So intriguing, mature story, really good sense of scale and scope. You know, you felt like there was this world outside of the spaceship, despite not seeing very much of it. So they did that really well. Kind of ended pretty well. So again, a positive there. It did wrap things up to some extent, but a lot of unexplained aspects to it. The cons is lots of reading. If you're not into visual novels and clicking a button to read the next read or listen to the next piece of dialogue, you won't like it. It could be very unclear where to go. There was no map in this open world, and it's a hugely sort of weirdly awkward spaces that kind of feel like you're in one place when you're actually a wall away from it, and you can't get to it without going a crazy circuitous route. And it was overlong. It had really interesting ideas. It was called 1,000 Times Resist because it was also looking at resistance and the uprising in China and whenever it was, and sort of immigrant stories and loads of interesting concepts. But that would have been a great 2 to 3 hour game in my view. I still gave it a 7. I don't know why, but I don't know why I finished it. But the fact that I did, and I've been thinking about it kind of ever since, it had something to it. But no, I would not recommend it to hardly anyone listening. 5% of people listening will love it. The other 95% will resent me for spending a day playing it. So don't go play it.
Yeah. Sometimes I note down your recommendations, but that one didn't catch me at all for the start there. So
I'll try on the next one. You're welcome.
Thank you for keeping that out of my backlog, which is already far too back and loggy for its own good. Good. That all done with that one?
Yeah, very much so. And I completed it just yesterday, so I'm very pleased to get it off the list in a nice way.
Or sad that you spend an entire day planning for a game.
Yeah.
Anyway, right on to the next. Which one should I go to next? I'll go for Dispatch because I talked about that one in our, or did I? To keep the mystery, in our Game of the Year podcast. You're going to have to listen to see if I talked about it or not. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, who knows? Bit of intrigue. Good. So have a listen back to that one. I didn't talk about it too much in the Game of the Year podcast. If I did mention it at all, who knows? Have to listen. But I will talk about it today because I played it in December. And again, it's very good. So it's a game I hadn't really heard of, to be honest, until I heard it on another podcast. But it had been out for a while, but in sections. So it was like 8 episodes, launched 2 episodes at a time over the space of a few months. And the last 2 came out in November. So I played them all together in December in a chunk over 8 days. Each episode's like 45 minutes long. So it's nice bite-sized chunkiness. And conceptually, you were a superhero with no superpowers. So you had a big metal suit and you were called Mecha Man. Really giant metal suit, like Iron Man, but like really chunky beast. And he did lots of good things. His dad and his grandfather before him had also been Mecha Man. And as they passed on, the suit was passed down through the generations and got to this geezer, who did a great job, but then eventually one of his nemesis managed to do bad things to him. And they had a big battle, and Mecha Man lost, unfortunately. So the thing powering the suit got nicked, and the suit got trashed. So he kind of fell out of the sky, landed on the floor, and then from then on, he was no longer Mecha Man. So when your whole ethos and your whole life has been devoted to being a superhero, and then you have no powers and your suit's knackered, it kind of puts you on the back foot. So it limits your career options when you can't do super things. Sad. So down on his luck, felt really bad, went to a few bars, got drunk a few times, didn't know what he was going to do. And then another lady, or the first lady, because he was a man, called Blonde Blazer, turned up and sort of recruited him to her superhero delivery network, which is a place whereby you pay a fee, like an alarm company, and if something goes wrong, you ring up the superhero delivery network and they dispatch the most relevant superhero to help you with your need, whether that's to help with delivering a lecture at a university or help to get a cat down from a tree or help people who are going to come up and blow your place up, for example. So he was recruited as a dispatcher of the Z team, although in the game it's called a Z team, annoyingly, because it's American. And these are all superheroes that used to be supervillains, but they had a change of heart for whatever reason, decided to go to the good side, and they were putting the Z team in the superhero delivery network. So Mecha Man is put in charge of these people. He hides his previous identity, so he's not looked at in a special way. So he's just a normal geezer when he turns up for work in a incorrectly buttoned shirt. Everyone else is much bigger because a lot of them are previous superheroes. And he has to try and take ownership of this team of misfits and try and turn them into a team full of quality superheroes who can behave well. And yeah, jollity and drama ensues from that plot line. So, like I said, it's done in an episodic format and is originally meant to be a Netflix series without being a game, but in the end they turned it into a game. And at the start of the game, you can choose whether you just want it to be an interactive experience or an interactive experience. So you can just watch it as a series, or you can actually play a game, make some decisions and do some quick time events and stuff to make you feel like you're involved in the story. So I went for that one. It made it a lot more interesting. You can make decisions in games. You can choose options, and it says Blonde Blazer will remember that decision, and it does slightly influence the game later on, but only a slight little bit. It's kind of meanders around a line, but always goes back to the same place eventually. So you feel like you've got some control, but it's not a massive amount of control. Graphically, it's amazing because it's obviously meant to have been a Netflix series, so it's that kind of quality. Voice acting's amazing. The storyline's superb. Graphically amazing. Everything about it is like completely top drawer cartoon novel series, as you would expect from a proper Netflix series. But it's a storyline that makes it. So there's 2 parts of the game. Each day you are a dispatcher, so you dispatch superheroes to crimes. So you get like a city map in front of you, and incidents will come up with an exclamation mark. You click on it to find out what the incident or crime is, and then you choose which superhero to dispatch based on their skill set and what kind of skills you need for that particular incident. And every time you complete an incident, you can upgrade one particular skill out of your 6 skills your superhero has. So you can make superheroes who are particularly good at vigor or strength or speed or intelligence or cunningness. So that gives you a chance to upgrade people so they're more useful for certain crimes and incidents. So you do 2 shifts a day, but then outside of those 2 shifts, you go back to the normal world and you get involved in romantic situations and you build friendships and relationships. And you go to the bars and you choose how things happen there. So it's kind of a game in the middle, surrounded by more interesting stuff. So one of the options is you can form a relationship with 2 different characters, either Blonde Blazer, who's this blonde, sort of stunning superhero character, or a girl called Invisigirl, who used to be called Invisibitch when she was a crime person, but she's turned to the good side, and she's got dark hair and is more of an intriguing character. So you choose to either go for the standard route or you go for the intriguing character. So most people go for the intriguing character because she's got more backstory to her. So you sort of develop a relationship there. You turn your team round. You sort of solve issues that crop up. You try and get people bonded. You have to kick someone off at one stage, which creates some dramas later on. It's just a really fascinating game. Like I said, it's nice that it's in terms of prose, it's nice it's in 45-minute chunks. So on an evening, you can just do one episode. It feels like you've achieved the whole episode. You finished it, so you feel like you finished in a good place. You can come back the next day to a whole new episode, so you don't feel like you've lost the plot. Storyline's great. Like I said, graphically, sound, voice acting, all amazing. And there really isn't anything bad about the game at all. It's kind of like those old games, those old Telltale games where you made decisions and then it happened. But this is just a much better, modern version of it. So those games kind of died out a little bit, but this has kind of reignited the whole genre. And I think it was superb. In terms of the negatives, it's quite sweary, so it's not a family-friendly game. There's like a wet dream at the start of one episode, which is quite graphic and quite noisy. If you've got other people living in the house when you're playing it at midnight and they're wondering, what on earth are you playing? So that was interesting. You're not massively involved in the game. You make small decisions that influence it slightly. So the gameplay itself is not outstanding. But that's about it, really. Everything else apart from it is perfect. Really good game. I encourage everyone to play it. I actually paid real money for it. I think it's like 20 or 25 quid. I saw it recommended on the other podcast and they said it was awesome. And it turned out to be really good. So I would recommend playing it for anyone out there who isn't going to play it in front of their children or their mothers or their significant others, and you'll have a great time. So my rating would be about 9 out of 10 as well. It's kind of on that level of Split Fiction. Completely different game, but an equal standard in terms of awesomeness. So please do go out and play it.
Sounds like you've had a good gaming month anyway between those two. That's a double header, isn't it? I also had one very highly rated game this month. So start of the month. Also may have featured in the Game of the Year episode. So spoilers. I love this one. It was Moss 2. So this is a VR game, charming sort of fable storybook world. You play as a little mouse called Quill, and you control Quill directly. It's a kind of platformer. In terms of the game, you have these little dioramas, these little scenes that Quill will run on into, and then you control her around the environment. You are present in that world because you're also a character called a reader. So I've played a watcher and a reader this month. So obviously good at observing and kind of witnessing things. In this case, you as a reader do get involved though, so you can manipulate bits of the land. So for example, if there's the old classic of a giant block in the way for the poor little mouse called Quill, you can use your controllers to sort of manipulate that, move that out of the way so Quill can then run on. So you've got this weird sort of hybrid control scheme where you are both third person kind of action game as Quill the mouse, and you are also playing as you the reader. So that's kind of unique. It's been out for a long time. This is the second Moss, as the name suggests. It's Moss Book 2, so they've really gone down the storybook kind of route. The first one was a very long time ago. This one, I think, was also about 7 years old, so it's not new by any means, and it's a shame there doesn't appear to be a Moss 3, although the story doesn't necessarily lend itself to that. It's quite a tidy ending at the end of this one. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. The Land of Moss is just really compelling. Quill is an excellent lead character. She's got loads of personality. Like with a good 3D platformer, if she falls in the water or something, she'll kind of climb out and sort of shake the water off her little ears and stuff. Very endearing. Uncle is also a major character in the first book. It was quite a linear mission to try and kind of go and I think find her uncle, free her uncle in some ways from a massive snake thing called Sarfog. In this one, it's a bit more expanded, so you've got this kind of hub world, and then you go off to these different lands, a bit like Mario 64 or something like that. There's not many of them. It's still a fairly short game, good length for VR, sort of 5 or 6 hours. But there's a lot of variety in terms of the setting. So there's a really beautiful land set around kind of gardens and greenhouses. There's another one which is a sort of snowy world where you encounter a new character called Sahima, who also has new weapons to use. So that was really good and nice and festive because it was very beautiful and snowy. And the scale, using VR and the fact that you're a tiny little mouse to show this massive scale of this world is really cool. Has an epic quality despite you being this tiny little mouse as your main character. Really loads of charm, really fun to play, a good mixture. You've got a sword as moss to make combat with some enemies, and there's also puzzle solving. But throughout book 2, this game, you acquire different kind of weapons or tools, and you can use them differently within VR. And so there's a bit more variety. The puzzles are a nice level of challenge, not frustrating, but also not completely noddy. So you feel satisfied getting through them. Just highly recommend it. It's a really good game. It's available. I played on MetaQuest. It's available on PSVR, or I'm not sure if it's on PC VR. I imagine it is because it's not tied to anything. And yeah, just highly recommend. So pros, charming world, the main character, great mix of combat and puzzles with a good level of challenge. Plus some innovation compared to the first game, a bit more variety. And I just say it really adds something being in VR. I think a pro is it really makes a distinct and unique use of VR, and has been part of some of the VR experiences that I've really enjoyed this year. Cons, I didn't have any for this either. I mean, it's some might argue it's a bit short. I enjoyed the fact that between the 2 books, you've probably got a 10-hour sort of game, and I've played both of those this year, combined them for my game of the year, and I would score Moss Book 2 slightly above the first because it's a bit more variety as a 9. So that was my highlight this month, or one of them.
You've got 3 9s already in 1 month.
3 9s, I know.
Must be a record.
Unheard of.
Wonderful. Let's see if we can keep it going. My next one is called Waterpark Simulator. Interestingly, my son Joshua really enjoyed this one. And if you listen to our Games of the Year podcast, he makes a guest appearance to talk about it. So he's popped back to that one. So I talked about quite a bit in that, so I'll keep it fairly brief. Effectively, the story is you take over an abandoned, derelict water park. You start off with a small plot of land. If you do well, you expand your plots of land to cover the previous extremities of the water park. And you start off by putting down some real basics, like you can put down a rusty pool and a rusty slide and some rusty deck chairs. And then you start charging people to turn up, which is a bit harsh. But as you do better, you make money from the ticket sales, etc., or sales from the vending machines and bits and pieces. And then you can expand your water park to make it much nicer. So there's like 5, you can go up to 5 stars. So each star rating has a different level of attractions you can stick in. You can put in hot tubs and saunas and spas and massive slides and all kinds of fun stuff, and a relaxation pool and hot dog stalls and ice cream stalls and ice cream and all kinds of stuff. It's really good fun. So there's loads of things you can build, loads of things you can put in, so lots of longevity in it. I think we managed to knock out about 35 hours each playing the game. We played it both separately to see how we both got on. So put a load of investment of time into it, and it kept you going the whole way through. So each day is filled with doing stuff, so there's no like idle time. You open a park at 10 a.m, it closes at 6 p.m, and during the 8-hour window, you're constantly doing stuff. So you're constantly clearing up puddles of water to stop people falling over dramatically in them, or you're going to your hot dog store to serve up the hot dogs, or you're going to the pool with a broom to sweep it all off and get stuff out of the pool and throw stuff in the bin. So you're always constantly on the go doing stuff to maintain the tidiness and the attractiveness of your complex. And some of the guests were a real pain in the bum, because some of the guests wee in the pool, which discolours the water. Some of the guests poo in the pool, so you've got this massive turd that just floats in the pool with some steaming effects coming off it, which you have to put into a bin bag and throw away before it pollutes your water too much. And then, like I said, you get these slippery puddles all over the gaff from people getting out of the pool. And if someone treads on one of these puddles, their limbs go in all kinds of fun directions, and they fly in the air, which is quite fun. So you have to keep mopping up around these guests. And if you accidentally mop when a guest walks into a puddle, you end up mopping the guest, and then they go flying around them. get all complainy. Some guests also refuse to pay, so they just turn up and you have to either punch them in the face or use a taser to tase them back out the park, or a baseball bat. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do to abuse the guests that come in unexpectedly. You get graffiti artists come in, you get people doing all sorts of bad stuff. So really fun game, loads to do, really keeps you occupied. Like I said, we put over 30 hours into it. We both ended up with a 5-star park with all the pools and all the stuff. So the game's kind of finished. It never really finishes because you can just build forever. But we've both done enough of it. It filled us up nicely for like a 7 solid day stretch and was really good fun. So if you like those kind of management games that just keep building and building, you can't really fail in it unless you're really inept. But as long as you've got some basic maths and management skills, it's a really fun game that is a little bit different to the norm. So I very much recommend Waterpark Simulator. Pros, like I said, addictive, very much so. It's very hard to put it down once you start playing it. Another pro is it's always active. Like I said, there's always constant stuff to be doing throughout the day, so the day goes really quickly. And also, it's actually quite cheap and cheerful. It's not an expensive game. It's on Steam, so it's quite cheap, and it does get a lot of fun and 30 hours of entertainment out of it for not much dosh. On the negative side, it's a kind of game where the graphics aren't a big feature. You can make out what everything is, and they do fall around quite hysterically using physics and tripping in puddles and tripping over vomit and stuff, but it's not graphically amazing. There's no kind of like dialogue or sound to speak of, so it's not particularly advanced. But a big negative is it's so addictive that once you start playing it, that's it. Your life is effectively over. So enter at your own risk, but it's a really fun game. We both really enjoyed it. And it's probably like an 8. It's not an amazing game, but it's good enough and busy enough and active enough to keep you engaged. So an 8 out of 10 for me. Recommended.
What was that on, James? Is that Steam?
I got it on Steam, yes. I don't believe it's anywhere else yet.
Yeah, simulators tend to be on the PC, don't they? But
yeah, they keep releasing lots of new features. It's quite an active developer, so they put in lots of Christmas things, which is quite fun. And they've got a multiplayer option coming up soon in the first half of this year, I think. So you can then do it online and run your park together, which would be quite fun, probably.
Nice.
So, yeah, good fun.
Excellent. Well, talking of multiplayer or social games, that's my last one for the month, is Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, the excellently titled puzzle game where players have to disarm procedurally generated bombs with the assistance of other players. So basically you get the expert who's disarming the bomb. No, sorry, not the expert. The diffuser is diffusing the bomb. That makes sense. And then you've got your experts kind of back in the office with the bomb manual, trying to advise them what to do with the bomb. So it's that kind of asynchronous gameplay. So you've got one person, in this case with a VR headset on, in our case, who can see the bomb and has to describe what they can see in a sort of nightmare style, if you remember that excellent TV program from the 80s. Whereas the rest of you are sort of leafing through these manuals, 23-page manual, trying to sort of work out which version they're describing. So each bomb consists of multiple modules, so the modules are independent of each other, and they might be, say, one that has wires in it, one that has a button in it, which is a certain colour and certain letters or words on it, some which are a bit more complex, like a little maze that you have to kind of work out which of the various mazes it is and direct them with they press certain buttons on the bomb to sort of make their way through that. Obviously the goal is to disarm the bomb, so you've got to solve essentially each of the modules and then you will not explode. If you don't do that in time, then you will explode, or each of the bombs has, I think, 3 strikes or a number of strikes. So you could get something wrong without it exploding, but 3 strikes and again, someone explodes. So whole point is to communicate between the two groups, essentially the person in the VR system and everyone else, and the people with the instruction manual can't see what's going on. The person can see the bomb but doesn't have the instruction manual. Hilarity ensues. It was really good fun. We played this with Madeline and Scotty just before Christmas. So we had some tech issues getting it set up, which was a bit unfortunate. But once we got it running, it was really, really good fun. We got through a smallish number of bombs, and each level is procedurally generated, so you could play sort of indefinitely. But there are only a certain number of variations. 23-page manual sounds quite big. It is quite big, but there's only so many different variations you're going to encounter. So they throw in all kinds of extra different challenges, like later on, apparently, and we didn't get to them. some modules are called needy modules. So they're not like a one-time diffusal. You have to kind of keep going back to them and making sure that they're not about to explode the bomb. Some of the challenges link different sections together. You have to be a bit more think outside the box. And you'd like some of the wordplay, I think, James. There's one where you have to be very, very specific what you're relaying from one group to the next, because you might be choosing between the word, the letters you are together, the word your, Y-O-U, apostrophe R-E, the word your, Y-O-U-R, the words you and are. So you have to be very specific with a ticking clock. The word blank versus something being blank. There's very specific ways that you could easily explode each other, or particularly explode the person in the bomb, I suppose. Works really well as a party game. Works really well as a VR experience. It's great fun, pretty clever social experience. The cons for me was that we had some technical problems which nearly killed our attempts to play it, which would have been infuriating, but we got there in the end. Limited variations in the module types. And my other con is you need some friends. So you could play this remotely, which would also be a really good way to play it, because you don't need to be in the same space. You just need to be able to talk to each other. And although we played it on VR, you can play it on a flat screen. You just need that screen to not be visible to everyone else. So I'm not quite sure how it works on things like Xbox and PlayStation, but it is available on iOS and Android, for example. So you could have the bomb as a tablet and not show it to other people. Great fun. Strong 8, strong recommendation. I'm not sure how long the fun will last, but certainly for a night, it was great fun and really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. Hopefully, maybe we'll bring the headset round and we'll have a go with you guys.
Yeah, kind of see you're making use of virtual reality. I haven't made use of it at all this year. But I keep meaning to. I've still got that Ghost Town to play.
Great
Ghost
game.
Town, what's it called? Yeah. And everything else. There's still games I need to finish. And also, got loads of games. And Moss I tried for like an hour when I first got VR and never went back to it yet, so I need to do that probably. So many things I need to do in the new year. Maybe this year's going to be my year of VR. 2026 feels like it's going to be a year of VR, doesn't it?
There we go.
Yeah.
As it dies of death everywhere else. Yeah.
They reduced the price so much of the PSVR 2 that someone must have bought it over Christmas, hopefully. So maybe they make a game for it, but we shall see. I played a few more games. I'm only going to talk about one more due to the brevity of the situation. And that's called LEGO Voyagers, which is another co-op game for the festive period. So that was quite cool. It was on Xbox. I can't remember if we paid for it or not. Maybe we did. Probably. Who knows? Wasn't a lot though, I don't think. So it's a Lego game, but unlike the other Lego games, which are based on franchises, this one's purely based on Lego. So you both play a little Lego block, like a 1x1 3D Lego block. One of you, for example, blue and one's red, and that's it. So that's the only characterization you have. You're both a block with an eye on the side of it, I think. And you have an adventure in a cooperative way. So you start off with a spaceship crashes near you, and you see it and go, oh, that's not so good. And then you kind of have to rebuild or make your own spaceship to get to different places. So it's quite cool in that you can see where you're trying to get to, but you don't always work out how to get there. So there's a few puzzles, and it always involves building some things. So basically, when you first start off, you have to build some bridges. So there's like Lego pieces and blocks laying around. You pick up the blocks, you spin it over using your block, and then you attach it somewhere else to make a little bridge so you can get to the next bit. So some quite basic puzzles to start with, but they get more complicated. So you have to stand on certain things, you have to pick up certain blocks and put them in certain places to create pressure, and you have to steer a boat by one of you jumping on one side, other steering the other on the other side, so you have to steer the boat between you. Really good cooperative fun and really basic and simple, so it's really easy to get into. I'm not massively sure what the aim of the game is yet. I think it's just to go from one place to another and eventually maybe go to space. Who knows? But yeah, anyone can play it. It's really easy to pick up, not particularly expensive. You don't need any knowledge of any franchise or anything else to get into it. And me and Joshua really enjoyed it. So we played it for a good few hours on a few days in a row, and a lot of cooperative Christmas fun. So on the pros, like I said, very easy to get into. No pro knowledge required. You don't have to buy a Lego set, which is always good, because it's a lot more expensive in real life than it is on the screen. Again, a nice big world, although I'm not sure where we're actually going to and yeah, just a lot of fun for two people. You have to really work together as a couple to solve the challenges, so you can't do it alone. If one of you walks too far off the screen, then the other one you can't see yourself on the screen, and then you end up getting annoyed at each other. So you have to really work well and do things at the same pace to get there, which is nice. On the negative, graphically, again, fairly basic. There's no massive sound, there's no massive story to it as yet, although there might be as the game progresses. So it's not graphically amazing, but enough. Again, a negative would be if you're playing with someone much younger than you that isn't as cooperative as you might like them to be, then it can be a bit annoying for a while until you force them to be more teamy. But that's about it. It really is a very simple game, nice and straightforward. Really enjoying it so far. So it's probably an 8 so far. Like I said, good cooperative Christmas fun. We'll probably continue playing it, see how we get on. I'll mention it again next month if we progress. It's not as advanced as Split Fiction, but it's equally as enjoyable, just in a different way.
Fantastic. Well, you can tell that we both had a bit of time off this month because we seem to have played quite a lot. Mostly for me, it was being intrigued but not necessarily entertained by a 1,000 times resist. But between us, mostly you, we've got a lot of high scores there. So and Moss book 2 for me. So good month.
And it's quite lucky that our Love It or Leave It game was quite short, so it gave plenty of time during December. And also, we got an extra week this month, didn't we? Because we're publishing the second Friday of the month rather than the first Friday of the month. So it gives us an extra week to play some stuff.
Indeed, yes. As we were not going to be around because we were going to be in Amsterdam, and then because we were busy not being in Amsterdam and trying to work out what we were doing, it just didn't quite work out. Well, we talked about this month's game being, thank goodness you're here. This current month, coming up, we've chosen a completely different game, haven't we? We've gone for Cyberpunk 2077. Which we both, in the Game of the Year, mentioned that we were both hoping to play this year, and so we're gonna play it. That's a good solution, isn't it, to our procrastination? We're just going to choose it as this month's Game of the Month. But it is available on PS Plus, so if you're listening and have that subscription, you can play along. Not much that we can say about Cyberpunk 2077, either that hasn't been said or that we can remember, because we did only make the decision quite last minute. But it's a sort of futuristic RPG, first person, quite shootery for most people. I think you can stealth your way through or use other means like a hacker and that sort of stuff. Set in the world of Night City, based on the tabletop game. I shouldn't have kept talking. I knew I wouldn't remember anything. But, what feels like a very new game to me, but was probably released like 8 years ago. Yeah, I'm just trying to look now. It's it's not very current, but what it has done is fixed all the bugs. So we waited long enough for them to update it, give it the old bit of polish on the new generation consoles. And this should be really fun. This one might take us more than a month though, James. This is quite a big game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I had it on the PS4, but never actually played it yet. And then I got the free upgrade to the PS5 and still never played it. Now it's on PS Plus anyway, so there's no need for me to have bought it in the first place. But anyway, it's massively buggy at first, wasn't it? They spent loads of time on it and then released it when it was arse, and now it's supposedly really good. So it seems to be a good time to play it now. Never really point in playing games when they first come out, are they? Because they're generally a bit naff. So I'm glad that this one is now at a state and we can happily jump on board and love it. But I have a feeling it probably lasts over 30 hours. So it's probably going to last a little bit longer than thank goodness you're here.
I think so, but we can't keep putting off these massive games forever, and that's definitely, there's a few of these in my backlog, so I'm very excited to tackle this one, and I'm ready for a proper gamey game.
Yeah, I've been putting off for 4 years now, so yeah, definitely time to jump on the ship. I've got loads of games for Christmas as well, which are all massive games as well. So this one, we'll give this a go first before I play any of my Christmas gifts, which we'll talk about in a minute, because I've got loads of really good games for Christmas. So
well, yeah, I was going to ask you anything coming up that you're looking forward to, but you mentioned getting games. What did you get for Christmas?
I got Silent Hill F.
Nice.
Yeah, obviously I love Silent Hill 2. And Silent Hill F is obviously meant to be really good as well. All the reviews are very positive on that one. But again, quite long. So it's probably 30 plus hours I've got to invest in it. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That looked really good.
Ooh.
Also quite long.
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah. That might take a little bit of time. What else did I get? I got 3 other games. What were? Mafia Old Country.
Okay, not so big. I think that's more like 20-ish.
Yeah.
still
I haven't played a Mafia game for years, so I'll be looking forward to that one.
It looks great.
There's like a Japanese detective game that I can't remember the name of that looked quite good on reviews. So I got that,
Okay,
and that doesn't look too long. And then there's one more.
excellent. We'll come back to you. Well, that's good because there's very little really hitting the subscription services or announced to hit the subscription services this month. So it seems like a good month to play our rather large love it or leave it choice, and also to get through the Christmas games. I got one game for Christmas. Very excited. It's Astrobot. So that would be a really nice little double bill, wouldn't it? The grittiness of Night City with Cyberpunk and maybe the happy cheeriness of Astrobot. I'm really looking forward to playing it. So maybe I'll do those two today. Have you remembered the other game you got, James? You look quite pleased.
I do still need to play Astrobot though, so that's definitely one I still need to play as well. It's sitting out there. It's in a pile of 5, so it's probably the 4th one down. It's really good, whatever it was. But yeah, it's a big one.
There we go.
It's a big one.
Did we mention that we're getting old and we don't really remember anything? So we're relying on notes which are not 100% accurate this month. Things did happen, not very much in December out in the world. The Game Awards happened after. James is still trying to think of the game if you're watching on video. The Game Awards happened, obviously not as sort of ritzy and glamorous as our own awards ceremony this month. But Claire Obscure basically won everything, so that's nice and easy. It doesn't take very long to run through that. In all categories, James has just wandered off to try and find his game, I suspect, or he's just got bored of a very long record. But we should also have it was confirmed, an Xbox Developer Direct in January. So no doubt we'll have more to talk about next month. The only other thing that appears to be happening in the world, I'm stalling because James still isn't back, is that the price of RAM has gone absolutely mental. So reports that the next generation Xbox and PlayStation could be delayed because we are no one will be able to afford them anyway. And also, if you're planning on buying or building a PC, you might want to get in now because apparently the cost of RAM is only going up. James, you're back. What did you find?
The other game was called Judgment.
I was going to say Judgment. I should have guessed it.
And then the one I couldn't remember was Hitman World of Assassination.
Nice. Well, Judgment is a spin-off from Like a Dragon, isn't it? Yakuza, I believe. Spin-off / side mission.
I think there's a follow-up to Judgment, though. It's called something else, but I think the original was better.
Lost Judgment. Yeah. No, that's really good.
Got 5 cling film wrap games there.
Wow.
Which would probably keep me going until this time next year. Maybe one of these would be our game of the year for next year.
I'm a bit worried that we've managed to go like 80 minutes without 5 massive games to play through. So if you take the month off work and just play games the whole time, we're going to have an epic podcast. But maybe finances suggest that won't be possible.
Interestingly, the only other game I'm looking forward to that's coming to Game Pass, which I didn't realise was coming to Game Pass, but it is in fact coming to Game Pass, is Nova Rome.
Oh.
Which is like it's like a building game. It's made by it's produced by the same people that made Thingy.
Something?
No. No,
This is great radio.
The one that came out, the other building game with made by Wild Horse, a wooden horse, headed horse.
Troy?
Anyway, it's made by them, but this one is about Rome has kind of crumbled, so you're rebuilding a new Rome somewhere else in the Roman Empire.
Makes sense.
So it looks really cool, and it's my kind of game because obviously I did my original degree in ancient history, so I've got a big affiliation with Rome and building games. So perfect combo for me. So
it does sound.
The other one, yeah, I might be playing, but it probably takes like 50 hours, and we might have a busy month already.
PC Game Pass, presumably, if it's a sim, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with yeah. Excellent. Right. Well, as you were wandering off to try and find your games, I summarised a very quick rundown through the news. There isn't very much this month, so I think that's probably the show. Please remember to like and subscribe, and consider giving us a 5-star review. If you missed the Christmas special, please do hunt down the Games of the Year pod that you'll find on your normal podcast feed. It's just up from this one. I'm pointing up, but if you're listening on podcast, you won't see the pointing, so that didn't really work. In fact, or is it down? Anyway. It's next to this one. If you sent us your top 5s, thank you very much. We've forgotten, so maybe we'll do them next month. And why not come over and interact with us on most social platforms? We're at Aches and Games, Facebook page or email at akesandgamespod@gmail.com. I think this is probably a record bad finish for our podcast. I don't know who I am anymore. James, how about you?
I never did know who I was. I'm still trying to discover myself, so it'll come eventually. But shout out to Cami, who did give the top 5 games on TikTok, and one of them was Hades 2, and one of them was Player Obscure, and one of them was Shopkeeper. So, yeah, free, fun games in there, so thank you for sending those over. Again, we'll mention some more next month if anyone else sends them in. But all good games. There's so many good games in there that we've covered this year. Over the course of the last 12 months, we've played some awesome games. There's another 70 or 80 awesome games that we still need to play yet, which is in our backlog. And I've got 5 more awesome games sitting next to me, which my relatives kindly gave to me for Christmas, and Cyberpunk as well. So it's going to be a very busy month, a very busy year, and probably a very busy life. If we never buy another game ever again, we'll still have enough to play until we are old and grey. And Cyberpunk 2077, we worked out earlier, will be just under 100 when it actually comes to that real time period. And by then, we might just have finished this backlog of games, including Cyberpunk. So good luck to us. So thanks for joining us over the last 3-ish years. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the games of the year, which we did last month, which we really enjoyed. Thanks to everyone. Big shout out to the Veteran Gamers podcast, which I featured on during Christmas as well. They said we have a great podcast and they love it. So if you like them, you should like us. If you don't like them, you should like us anyway, because we're awesome. And have a great year, everyone. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So yeah, thanks.
It's not going in the highlight reel, but we'll see you next month. We're back to normal for the first Friday of the month for more Aches and Games. Cheers, everyone.
I think normal's pushing it. Goodbye.
Bye.